My name is Aaron Doughty. I'm your host and owner of Silvercreek Realty Group, and I'm here with Ty Porter with Bluebird Home Loans. Welcome, Ty.
Thank you.
Excited to be here?
I am. I've never done a podcast.
I'm learning. It's trial by fire, so we'll see how it goes. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Have you always been in the loan industry, or did you have a life before loans?
I've been in it so long, I don't remember the life before.
You don't? Okay, so you have been.
Yeah, 26, 27 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Longer than JJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you and JJ align?
So, I got into the business through my sister-in-law.
Okay.
She'd started a mortgage company in 94. And then I was actually framing houses for a local builder, Chris Connor.
Yeah.
And she got super busy and said, "Hey, you want to learn the mortgage business?" And in 96, I started
get out of the 100 and some degree weather and come into the air conditioning and start generating loans. Okay.
And then Grant joined about 4 or 5 years after that.
Okay.
And then neither Grant and I like doing any organizational type stuff.
Yep.
And JJ is actually married to a good friend of ours. My parents are actually her godparents.
Oh, wow.
And JJ was working in Seattle for Salesforce.
Okay.
And we said, "Hey, you should come run this mortgage company and be a loan officer."
Yeah. And he's got an incredible mind for organization, doesn't he? I mean, it's just the systems and everything like that. I've had the opportunity as a client of Bluebird to do 2 or 3 loans, and it's been so just refreshing to see the organization and the follow through and lack of surprises, for a better word.
Yeah. He's super good.
Yeah, tell me about the process. What do you enjoy most working at Bluebird Home Loans?
Just that I can follow a script, really.
Okay.
That it's like, check these boxes, get this done, and I'm doing my job.
And the result is the same every time.
Yeah, because I'm not good at those detail things.
Okay.
So
what are you good at? Let's start with that. You're not the detail guy, so we'll leave that to Elisa and JJ and everybody else and the underwriter and processors. When you think of yourself, I mean, brag a little bit. What's your strength when it comes to working in this business?
I think big picture and comfort level, making people feel comfortable in their decision and what they're doing.
Okay.
And that it's the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like not just looking at just the home, but the entire financial package. Like
sure. Just because they can qualify for something doesn't mean that they necessarily should purchase it, right?
Totally.
Okay.
And just making sure if there's other real estate they own or that they're going to be coming into or whatever, that you're structuring things in the right way that they don't have to redo it later. Mm-hmm. And they're set for life, basically.
Yeah. So more of a consultant or a guide, almost like a little bit of a financial,
Yeah, really. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor.
No, but you're at least weighing in and trying to just, rather than check a box and say, "Oh, you want that home? Okay, you're approved, on to the next." It's more looking at the big picture and saying, what program or what's going to work in your best interest is kind of what I'm gleaning from that. Is that right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, my first 10 years in the business, probably 95% of what I did was a 5-1 or 7-1 arms.
Okay.
Which most people are like, arms are bad. I hate arms. But all of my clientele was first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
And they were in their first house that they were going to be in there 4 or 5 years.
Sure.
And then move into something else.
Yeah.
And it kind of backfired on me in the fact that I never had to refinance any of them.
Sure.
Because if they did stay in the house longer,
the rates went down.
Rates had gone down anyway, so they didn't need to refi or do anything anyway. So it's the right program is dependent on the person and their situation.
Gotcha. What are you seeing in this market? What challenges are you seeing? Have you had to adjust the way you do business in terms of how to find buyers? And I mean, explain that a little bit.
Yeah, the hardest part right now in my mind is the cost.
Okay.
Because it's, back in the old days, it was 1% origination or discount is essentially what you pay.
Okay.
But there's just so little liquidity in the market right now that it's hard to get a 1% deal.
Okay.
And the reason is say today the rate's 7%. Well, everyone thinks that 7% is not going to be around for very long.
Okay.
So that loan's not going to be on the market long enough to make money. So they're paying for it up front. So it might cost you 2% to get the 7 today.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because that mortgage is not going to be on the secondary market with Fannie or Freddie for very long.
Okay.
And we need more liquidity in the market so that things can get back to where, because it's really the consumer that ends up paying it.
Gotcha. That's fascinating. Cool. Are there any typical buyers that what's your ideal scenario? Is there a story or someone that you've really got a lot of gratification from helping find and put in a home?
Well, I think first-time home buyers is always fun.
Yeah.
Just the education part
Sure.
of it. But then just when people are really passionate about whether it's their first home or I never thought I'd be able to afford this home.
Sure.
And just, maybe even building their own home.
Yeah.
And when somebody else is passionate about something, then I can feel that, and that makes me feel good about what I'm doing.
Gotcha. You're from Twin, is that correct? Or Burley area, or correct me if I'm wrong?
Grew up in Twin Falls.
Twin Falls, okay.
I was born in Portland, but
Portland. Okay. So you're local here.
Yeah.
What tell me some of the things you really enjoy or are passionate about here in the Valley? What are some of your hobbies, interests?
So golfing.
Okay.
Whitewater rafting.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's been in our family for, my dad was an orthopedic surgeon, but he bought a whitewater rafting company in 1980.
That's right. Yeah.
And then, so I grew up doing that in the summers and then guided professionally for 7 years.
Do you still do that?
Yeah, I still go at least once or twice a year. So
on the salmon, or what rivers are you guiding on?
So we just do the Middle Fork of the Salmon.
Okay.
And it's a 6-day, 5-night trip.
Wow.
And 20 years ago, my brother Grant, who's at Bluebird also, bought the company from our parents.
Okay.
So he and his wife still run the company, and that's how I'm still connected, is if we have local people that I know or past guests from 30 years ago that are going back down, then I'll try to jump on those trips and guide for.
What a blast.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great.
Yeah.
I have no ownership in it or liability. I just show up and I'm like,
row the boat.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. That's great.
Any other passions here in the Valley? Where would I find you on a Friday night? At home?
Yeah.
Or probably watching your kids' basketball game
or volleyball game.
Okay.
Or we used to ski a lot.
Okay.
But, because of basketball the last 5-6 years, we haven't skied a ton, but I look forward to getting back into it actually.
Gotcha. Let's see. Any passions in terms of community give back, charitable organizations, or things like that?
Yeah. So this is a podcast, so you can't see my hair.
Okay.
But every 2 years, I shave my head.
All right. To look like your brother?
Yeah. So
okay.
I look like all 3 of my brothers are bald, actually.
You got all the good genes.
Yeah.
We'll give him a hard time when he comes in and chat with him about that.
But it goes to St. Baldrick's, which is a kids' cancer research.
Okay.
And I've raised, I do it every 2 years, and I started in 2012. I think I've raised about $70,000.
So they bid on your hair then?
Yeah. I basically, I put it on social media. I said, hey, it's actually next Friday, March 17th. I'll be shaving my head at my office. We're having a happy hour, live music. And then
that's so cool.
Head shaving.
Yeah.
And then, we always do for our office, we do Rake Up Boise. We usually do the food bank once a quarter.
Yeah.
And then what else? Oh, my family and I will do, it's called Asiago's, which is, or Asiago's? That's the restaurant.
That's the restaurant, yeah. The Italian restaurant.
It's something close to that. I can't think of the name, but they serve food to the homeless.
Oh, wow.
And,
cool.
We'll go do that. We used to do it a lot before COVID. But they've kind of had to change how they do everything now.
That's very cool. Yeah.
The kids love it.
Yeah.
And it gives them a great appreciation.
What's it like working with your brother?
It's awesome.
Is it? How many siblings are in your family?
So there's 5 of us total.
Okay.
4 boys and a girl.
Okay.
And I think Grant and I are the only 2 that could actually probably work together.
Okay.
Which is fortunate. I mean, we did all work together as guides.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a different atmosphere.
Dynamic. Sure.
Yeah. And actually, I originally bought the mortgage company from our oldest brother and his wife, which was essentially the worst 5 years of my life.
Okay. So you upgraded with JJ and Grant. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, good. All right. Any advice? I guess you're in the sales business, right? This podcast is centered towards our agents who are looking to grow their business. You've obviously seen lots of ups and downs, over the last 26 years. Any advice in terms of how to build kind of a recession-proof business when it comes to being a salesperson?
I think that's repetition and doing the basics. You've got to make your phone calls. You've got to do your mailings. You've got to have face-to-face calls.
Yeah.
And just stick with it.
Okay.
And even in a down market, you probably have to double up.
You double, yeah, for sure.
You do twice as much for half the dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll turn around. And stay positive.
Yeah.
I think positivity and attitude are a big thing.
Where do you fill your cup in terms of positivity and outlook? Are you a reader or podcast listener, or where do you get that?
Probably sports a lot.
Okay.
And then I do read a lot.
Okay.
We actually read at Bluebird, we read a book a month.
Gotcha.
That is typically a motivational type book.
That's cool.
And then we do we have a meeting and download after about, okay, what did you get out of this book?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say that's where most of my positivity comes
energy comes from. That's really cool.
As you get older, you learn more and more about feelings and thoughts and why am I having this feeling?
Sure.
And you're having this feeling because of some thought that is in your head, and then looking at it like, well, is that thought true?
Mm-hmm.
What else could be true?
Okay.
So changing your thought and being intentional about your thought can change your feelings and how you present yourself to the world.
So is it taking that thought and actually deciphering whether it's a true thought or not, or explain a little bit more on that process? This is interesting to me.
So like an unintentional thought might give you anxiety or feelings that you don't want to have.
Sure.
In the beginning of my business, it was like, I was uncomfortable around real estate agents.
Mm-hmm.
But now I can think, okay, I know what I'm doing in business.
Okay.
I can be confident. I can make an intentional thought that is, positive. Like trying to think of a thought model. I go through this with my coach, and
maybe such that you're an expert in the industry. You use the knowledge that you have. Are you thinking like that in terms of to help the realtor so you don't have that uncomfortable thought? Or
it's just that I guess it's redirecting yourself into, I know what I want to feel like. I know what is the result I want, and you can do it backwards. Like, how do I get to that result?
Okay.
Well, if I don't think this negative thought, I think this way.
Okay.
Then this should give me these kind of feelings, which are much better. Yeah. And it's basically looking at your thought and say, is that thought true? What else could be true?
Okay.
And then restructuring your thought to get the result you want.
I like that.
That makes sense?
It does. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how that would apply to an agent. If an agent's having anxiety or fear around earning or picking up the phone, so to speak, I mean, that thought, is it true? What's the worst that can happen, right? You know what I'm saying? And,
totally.
you play that out of your mind. If that's true, okay, can I live with that? Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah, they're going to say no.
Right.
And how did that affect me? Okay, on to the next one. But if they say yes, then look what the positivity could come from. So I guess replaying that, from what I'm gathering, if we play out scenarios in our mind and the worst case is the worst case and we can live with that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like one of the things today that I went through with my wife at lunch was, I had a great conversation with a new agent yesterday. But this agent already has a lender that they love, that they're doing business with. And previously I would have been like, okay, great, and kind of shut myself down and, I'm not going to call this person anymore. But I continued the conversation with, oh, that's great. I know that person. They
Sure.
do a great job. Not every lender can do a bridge loan or construction or
Yeah.
a reverse mortgage. If you ever run into anything else that he can't do,
Yeah.
give me a call. Build a bridge
Sure.
as opposed to shutting it down just because you're not getting the business that day.
Yes. And you feel uncomfortable or whatever it may be. Yeah.
And then you're building a relationship, and you don't have to call on them all the time.
Sure.
But at least if you leave the conversation with a positive outcome,
Yeah.
something may happen to that relationship someday. So don't ever turn a relationship down because you're not getting business on that day.
Sure.
It'll come in the future.
That's good insight. Cool. We went deep a little bit there. I like that.
Yeah, we kind of did.
I like that a lot. Yeah. No, I think it's incredible. I was listening to it was actually an interview between Howard Stern and Jerry Seinfeld. And Jerry Seinfeld said the more you can tolerate the uncomfortable, the more successful you'll become. And he says what you'll begin to tolerate is your benchmark for what your minimum standard was. And I've thought about that a lot lately in terms of, are you okay with the uncomfortable? And if you can get okay with it, you raise your threshold for your capacity to do a lot of difficult things in life. And I think that's true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's really good.
So anyways.
That was Seinfeld?
Yes, Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah.
That's funny.
So anyways, I appreciate the time, Ty. It's been a pleasure. Any last imparting words of wisdom you want to share with us?
What were my other questions?
I think you talked about giving back, why Idaho, all the things you'd love to do, Bluebird home loans processes. Yeah. I think we indirectly covered all of them. So
The more you give, the more you get.
The more you give. Yeah. I love that philosophy. Yep. Abundance mentality. So anyways, thank you, Ty, for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today, and look forward to doing business with you.
For sure. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Thanks.